Hey y'all. Okay, so Resist Nothing 19. What's that all about? If you were able to read my long post when I first initiated the challenge, you know that I've been struggling with anxiety. And I've learned a lot since my anxiety attack in January. I have thought about why it happened, where it came from, and all those sorts of things. I'm pretty sure it was just a combination of things. But one thing for sure I learned is that anxiety doesn't always stem from negative things. I think, particularly for me, I had a lot of good things happening. Some not so good things, but the not so good things were constant. They weren't new, they weren't fresh. So I think in combination with the constant not so good things and then the new and exciting things, that I was just overwhelmed. And so, of course, after I had the attack, I thought like, okay, what happened? Why did it happen? Like, how can I make sure it doesn't happen again? Because it wasn't fun. If you ever had a panic attack or an anxiety attack, it's not fun. Like, I didn't enjoy it. I'd rather not do it again. I was able to take a couple of days off of work and kind of chill, play with some babies. I love babies. It's my favorite type of therapy. But, I'd rather play with babies when I choose to, not like when I'm forced to take days off of work because of my anxiety attack. So, I don't know, the day was weird. It was a big day for me. And I worked both of my jobs. Everything went smoothly. Like, there was nothing that was particularly stressing at either of my jobs. Second job I love. So, by the time I leave there, I'm usually on a high. And got in the car, getting ready to drive home. And I felt like a lot of excitement in my chest. And I was just like, wow, like, I'm really excited. Like, I'm physically excited. Well, that was the word I used for it then, but like, I felt a lot of excitement. Got home, treated myself to takeout because I was like, you've done well. So had my takeout and did a little work, watched a little TV, got ready to go to bed. It was the middle of the week. I still had a few more days of work to go. So I got ready to go to bed and, I really don't know what happened after that. I got a text message that was a little triggering. And it was completely unrelated. It was just about a social issue that was happening. And I do have a tendency to carry social issues. If there's anything in the world that's happening, I have to prepare myself before I read about it or hear about it or talk about it, because it will actually make me sad. Like, sometimes the world we live in makes me really sad. And that's another thing that I'm working on, is like just carrying things that I don't need to be carrying. But yeah, I think it was just a combination of things. Luckily, my roommate was home, and so I woke her up. And she was very helpful. She stayed with me until I went back to sleep. And of course, I tried to go to work the next day. She didn't let me. I went to the doctor, got all my necessary checkups and things like that. Everything seemed to be in order. It just seemed to be anxiety. So that leads me to my challenge. What causes anxiety? What happens that makes your body go, ooh, I don't know if I feel comfortable with this. Oh, this is unsettling. Oh, I'm really worried about this. Like, what is it? And how can I stop it? Because I'm a firm believer that you are in charge of you. There's obviously certain things like trauma and things like that you can't control, but you can take control and take power and take pride in how you handle it. And I think that just comes from me not wanting anybody or anything to dictate how I feel and how I move through life. I don't want anything to ever have that amount of control over me. Which speaks to some of my other other personality traits, but that's a conversation for another time. And so I was just, was thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, what is it? And I came to resistance. And resistance is a topic that I've been discussing the last couple of years, particularly with my mom. Just focusing on taking the path of least resistance, don't resist. But I thought to myself, okay, not only taking the path of least resistance, but also not creating resistance. I was reading, I'm ashamed to tell you guys this, but I still haven't finished the book. I was reading Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. And this, I can't even remember if it was before or after my attack, but I know it was either the day of my attack or the day after. And I couldn't sleep, so I was like, well, fine, I'm going to read. And I was just reading the beginning, and he was talking about how, he used to be very depressed and he was suicidal and all these sorts of things that had a hold on him. And said he had a dream and he only remembered 2 words, resist nothing. And then he woke up and suddenly everything felt fine. He felt a wave of calm. And from that point on, he made a decision to live in the now. And it goes on to talk about how the past is, what's a good word for it? Not irrelevant, but the past is what it is where it is, and it should stay there. Now, again, haven't finished the book, so I don't actually know his full philosophy on this, but that stuck out to me. And I thought, okay, you know what? How am I creating resistance? What things am I resisting that I don't need to be? So I decided to do this challenge, and I did it for 28 days. And I did it for 28 days in an effort to make it into a lifestyle change. And so where I am now is just constantly paying attention to the little things and just going like, oh, Ciarra, you could have handled that differently. And not beating myself up about it because I'm human, I'm very human, superhuman. Well, that didn't work out the way I thought it would. I'm a lot of human, okay? I make mistakes. So I found out a lot about myself and probably stuff that other people know about me, but I just chose not to see. One of the things that stuck out to me a lot is when people ask me questions. When people ask me questions, I almost never give them a straight answer, like ever. This includes my students. I realized that, my students would be like, oh, Miss Ciarra, like, when is this due? And my initial response is, either it's written right there on your paper, so tell me when it's due, or we just talked about this, why didn't you write it down, or phone a friend because you know how I feel about repeating myself. And you know what? I don't have an issue with that because I have a lot of lazy thinkers in my class, and I'm trying to get them to think more independently, to find other ways to get the answers they need besides looking to someone else for them. But the reality is, I don't have to make every single thing a learning moment. It doesn't have to be. It just doesn't have to be a learning moment. I could just say it's due on the 1st. And that could be it. Because that is a form of resistance. Someone is seeking something from you, and you are deciding to give them something other than what they're looking for, or to not give them what they're looking for. And that, guys, I do this a lot. Even when I meet strangers and they say like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, what do I not do? And it's not, there's no harm in it. There's no harm, but those little habits become big habits. And so it's like, okay, if I'm being this resistant in something as simple as asking questions, what other areas am I creating resistance? I say no a lot. I like saying no. It's my favorite word. Well, no, it's not my favorite word, but it's one of my favorite words. And saying no is not always a bad thing, because if you're saying no to protect your energy, if you're saying no to prioritize whatever it is that you need, that's not a bad thing. However, if you're saying no because you just got into the habit of saying no, that's a bad thing. I don't know if you guys have read Shonda Rhimes' book, Year of Yes, another book that I haven't finished, but I finished most of it, and it's really good. She's really funny. I like her. It's a little bit different from what I'm doing. I'm not saying yes to everybody and everything. I feel like that would take my anxiety all the way up. But I am being more open. I am being more open. And it's usually in the abstract. It's usually that I say no, to ideas rather than actual things. Like if someone says, do you want to go eat? My answer is always yes. I love food, right? Always. Someone says like, well, what do you think about this? And I'm like, I don't know. Do you want to know my opinion from a logical standpoint? Do you want my teacher opinion? Do you want my woman opinion? Ciarra, just answer the question. So you see what I'm saying when I say I have an issue answering questions. But the point of the story is I did 4 weeks of just doing what I wanted to do and trying my best not to create resistance. I even let my kids touch my hair. And you know what? It wasn't traumatic. Like, it didn't really bother me that much. I do think that kids have germs, and I think that touching my hair makes it frizzy. And I think that, I'm not a pet. But also, what did I lose? Nothing. What did I gain? Some human contact. I like that from time to time, contrary to popular belief. Anyway, so it was fun. It was fun. Like, there were days where I was like, ugh, I was really resistant today. And there were other days where I was like, I did good. I'm Superman. I do good. Like, I didn't do well. I did good. Real good. Should have said Wonder Woman. I like Wonder Woman better than Superman. Anyway. So, for those that were trying to journey with me, I really appreciate it. I had a lot of questions like, how do you start? What do you do? What does that even mean? And I want to, again, be clear that it doesn't mean that you say yes to everything. All it means is that you pay attention. You take note of all the ways that you're creating resistance. And I'm sure you guys can relate to this. Like, I'm sure there's someone it might be you. You may not realize it's you, but it might be. There's someone that is just difficult. And, you've just come to accept their difficulty as a part of who they are. But you know who I'm talking about. It's like the kind of person who's like, okay, like, do you want to go to dinner? Oh, well, I guess. I guess we could. Okay, well, do you want me to drive or do you want to drive? Driving, like, they're always pushing back. Do you want the tacos or do you want the burritos? Well, tacos and and burritos. Like, there's always some sort of resistance. And then you say like, oh, let's go for a walk. And then they say, I'd rather go for a run. It's just like there are human beings on this earth who are creating a whole lot of resistance. And we've got to stop. It doesn't help. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help people we're talking to. I would even go as far as to say that it hurts, like, excuse me. That was so unladylike. I'm just kidding. Y'all know how I feel about burps. I would go as far as to say that it actually hurts a little bit, like, because are you being your true self or are you letting your ego talk? And your ego gets you in trouble all the time. Your ego gets you in trouble all the time. Your ego is related to your pride, and your pride stops you from doing things. It stops you from being vulnerable. It stops you from being human. It stops you from saying yes. It stops you from submitting, which is in some ways the opposite of resistance. So, pay attention. Pay attention to, even if you don't want to do this challenge, just start taking note. It doesn't have to be a challenge. It could just be I'm going to be more conscious of the resistance that I'm creating in this world, in my space. And I'm going to take note of how it feels when I create resistance and how it feels when I don't. And I'm going to take note of how it feels when other people create resistance to me. And is that how I want to make other people feel? And, I'll just make a quick little sidebar. I'm already at 15 minutes. I didn't want this video to be too long, but I'll make a quick sidebar about results and reciprocity. We are very much attached to results. We are very much attached to results and expectations. And we think, well, don't get your hopes high because then you won't be disappointed. You can say that, but did you really do it? Like, maybe you didn't get your hopes high, but maybe you had expectations. You expected for this to happen, for this person to do this for you or that for you, or for X, Y, and Z to follow this path that you're on. And it doesn't always happen that way. Probably because your plan and God's plan don't compare. That's usually what it is. Like, God's plan. Oh, wait. Let me get in the frame. God's plan. Your plan. Yeah? Okay? Probably because of that. And, when you get to a point where things don't work out and things don't go the way that you want them to, and you say to yourself, you know what? God got me. I ain't even going to get mad. I ain't even going to trip. I'm not going to get mad about this job. I'm not going to get mad about this promotion. I'm not going to get mad about this person that I was dating. I'm not going to get mad about the plans I made with my friends that didn't go through. And that's another thing. I'm not good with that. Like, if I make plans with people, my expectation is that they're going to happen. They may not happen exactly as we planned it, but if we say we're going to do this on this day, I have planned my day around it. I made sure this was done so I could be here. And then, people cancel or people change plans, and I'd be like, that was my Hulk face. Like, I get really mad, but then I have to, because everything doesn't go the way that it's planned. And people have a right to change their mind. People have a right to be tired, be sick, whatever. Like, but I know I have an issue with like plans changing. I'm working on that. It's a personal problem. It's my thing, but I'm working on it. But expectations, we have to do better with not expecting things, or how can I put this? Not doing things with expectations. Like, I'm going to buy this gift for this person because when my birthday comes around, they're going to get me something really nice. Or I'm going to ask this person out because I expect them to say yes, rather than I'm going to ask this person out because I really want to. And not doing so is resistance. And if they say no, you know what? That's okay. It hurt a little bit, but you know what? It hurts your ego. It doesn't hurt you. It hurts your ego. And you take your ego, put it in a little box, and tuck it away. Okay? Anyway, guys, I didn't want this to be a long video. I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about where I am in my life, what I'm working on, the purpose that I'm trying to live. Trying to be intentional about a lot of things, and reciprocal as well. And reciprocal not in the sense of fair, but reciprocal as in I pour into you as you pour into me. I'm not going to constantly take from you without giving that back. And that goes for even asking for advice or venting. Ask your friends, ask them, are you in a space where you can listen to my problems, where you can listen to me vent? Because unleashing on them, not knowing where they are, can be problematic. So thank you guys so much for listening. As always, I love y'all. I appreciate it. Comment, share, like, tell me, if you want to hear more about this. Be happy to keep you guys posted. I feel very comfortable telling you guys all my business behind the camera. It's a safe space for me. Anyway, love you guys. Love and light. Hope you're having a fabulous day wherever you are, or a fabulous night. And see you later. Bye.